Squad, baby. Rex, J. Sands.
Oh, say I'm say you are complete to me, I get you. By the way that you move and the way that you smile. Say, oh my Dorima, baby, you be giving your hand, I'll take you anywhere. You give me something that I never had. Cause you care, but about to me and the family. Say, why you waiting on me to talk to you? Yeah, I'ma listen what y'all say. Yeah, don't move out in and come here. Yeah, they on the layout, oh, dirty wine, girl, dirty wine, yeah. Say, tama in and not the bite, don't say,
Squad, baby. Rex, J. Sands.
oh, say I'm say you are complete to me, I get you. By the way that you move and the way that you smile. Say, oh my Dorima, baby, you be giving your hand, I'll take you anywhere. You give me something that I never had. Cause you care, but about to me and the family. Say, why you waiting on me to talk to you? Yeah, I'ma listen what y'all say. Yeah, don't move out in and come here. Yeah, they on the layout, oh, dirty wine, girl, dirty wine, yeah. Say, tama in and not the bite, don't say,
Ia, whaatalo whaatu le pai ia malamamaru le tātou watunu, le nei a fiafi pore ni a holi, o la stofi, o i o la se wharaile, aso lua se fulmari lima, o iuni, lua fe lua se fulmari tasi, o lea se mali taimi, se fulu fitu minute o te nei lei tu la e tonu, i nei la ia te mātou ni usila nei, manato sa mole na o te lei tu la e wha, ia taimi whala nei o tumu o tātou pasi, mai se lava i mātou i mai tua, ia la, o le si fo inga le la kui ki a pa oi fumal pasi, a la ua su e se whanoe alo e whai weekend nei a ingai tua, ia toi whaatalo whatu, ia le tātou Port Kalami, e Pacific Health Talanoa with Lorenzo, i le mamalu malpa i o le tātou watuno, whakalowhala ia tu nei sa pula vinaka, ki o rana, taloha ni, ia, ma le big whaatalofa to all our listeners and all our fans and viewers tuning in from overseas, outside of New Zealand, mamoli atu le whaatalofa ma le whaafeiloai, ale tātou Port Kalami le Pacific Health Talanoa, ia te outou, malava, oa mai ia lea sa wharaile, the Friday night in the US of A, ia oa mai ia lea so, no, Thursday night, oa mai lea so wharaile nai Sydney, oa, toi au le malia ia Australia mele ia, level 2 ia Wellingtoni, masalo le vai aso lea o level 3 e level 2 ma toi au kilangi. Ia, o ngā re tātou travel bubble, manatua. Ia, e le tua ia fo le tātou whainga mālo i le toe sao mai ar COVID-19. Mai se lava tangata le samalanga mai sini i Wellingtoni. O leva ona tātou tio mau tātou au ngani le whainga mālo. Ta tala ia sama vavao COVID-19 furuiva e se i toe whaanga ioi ia whemananga i ngamasani. E le vau tātou ma Australia, peitai la, wa vierwa enga rea mamea, ia ua sao mai ai ia tangata lea from Sydney, that person who flew from Sydney to Wellington on the 19th of June, he was affected while he was still in Sydney before flying to Wellington. He roamed around in Wellington, he visited a few places, ia, matoe Fohe loa, on the 23rd, ai mauang no, 21st. Yeah, I tell Mawane Lansiaki when he got back to Australia. So I am just going to give you quick updates for COVID-19. For today, Friday the 25th of June, there are no new cases of COVID-19 to report in the community in Aotearoa today. But, there's a but. There are 2 new cases. Lea wali potia mai tutonu no fuanga whapitoa ia lo whano fo sea i lato, malanga mai whafo ono le whamai. E lua la cases from managed isolation facilities or quarantine facilities. E lua la tātou cases fo a le tarawhiawhia e le aise community case I tutonu o lo tātou atunu I New Zealand. Another good news. Or newsletter about the COVID-19 and the travel bubble between New Zealand and Sydney, New South Wales, Auckland Blues. Yeah. Toi put on hold ia le tātou travel bubble lea between New Zealand and Sydney, New South Wales for another 12 days. O le whaisisilanga lentu ina mai matanga luenga le soifua maloloina i le aso na nafi o le tangata le samalanga mai Australia. Le ala maua i le whaiunga mai le matanga luenga le soifua maloloina o le ato e tau fia whainga malanga le taimine nei o lo tau fia whainga malanga ma sani avalele mai Sydney i Australia mai Sydney i New Zealand whapea Fohe i New Zealand i Sydney ia mo leisia mo nisia so se fuma lua o le aso la tu tatala ia whainga malanga ia o le aso ono you like mo ila toula ia sa fu malanga mai i New Zealand i le sa pok uma ia ona fai bookings ia umonta pena whainga malanga ia malilia ia fatoa tu tatala ia tatou whainga malanga le travel bubble quarantine free travel bubble i le va o New Zealand ma New South Wales i le aso ono o you like. That is a quick update on COVID-19. Ai ola ka kul musika lea ia tātou te lue up and down, side to side. A whai o nau e ki e tono lau tāwale ia awe te awhesili kastoa. Langa o tātou por kalamre nei o le Pacific Health. It is about looking after you. It is about getting home as soon as you finish work. It is not about going to the bar. A le whaatali maiti nā mata maiti inga ia ue. E mei opole pese. Whai la mu. Se saula. Ia ngau walwak. Ia. Se mali taimi lua se lua minute. Ia.
It's your boy King Nato.
Chaina le tula tolu. Ia. Ili tatu por kalame le Pacific House Talanoa with Lorenzo on Blue TV. Pacific operated and owned business.
Not to brothers. Let's go. I didn't know we hurt so much without you by my side. But I don't know if you understand the pain I'm carrying inside. Cause I miss you every day, every second of my life. And you should know my love for you was never a lie. And everything you told me is true and you're right. But before you say something, don't wanna hear you say goodbye. Can you please do me a favor, cause I've been waiting for so long. And all I want for you is to listen to this song.
Come on your TikTok. Esa fue going así vai que minga ya. Pile na yo fue ngale pile. Marca mo wega. Pile window washing voy ngale sol. But you know what? It is all about, keeping yourself active, get moving, do whatever you can. I'd also like to shout out and introduce the co-host for Pacific Health Talanoa with Lorenzo, my only daughter, Dwaine Faletanoaí Christian Kaisara. You do whatever it takes to get the message to you people and my lovely community. That's how much you mean to me. Even if it means that I bring my own daughter to work to serve you and talk to you, that's what it matters. Let's go! Hey, see my baby? Fatalo fatu I foi la tau malava lo faia I el faiva leo le tau tua mal fatu ainga. You looking after our elderly people in tono tato mau tamalawa, ma moli atu le fa malo ale Pacific Health Talanoa I le nei fiafi mo tau malava Ele fengo fear it's not easy. It's not easy. But I tell you what, the blessing that comes from your service, e te fi fo inga le tufi. Be on open my le sky blue ale to ina e fa manuia o ona lo tau singa ale la ka ko ka musika because I have a very special gift for you. I have a very special gift. Now this month, the month of June, we're celebrating mental health. Men's health. Langai ole mentora lo fa pia ole men men's health o leo lo fa manatuina I le tulanga leo le soifua malorino le mafaufau I to tonu o ni sila nei male lalo langi. O iran manatu o tātou Port Kalame, I le asole nei, e tātou wha talanoanga wha pitoa. Ia mo le soifu maloloina mo nei tamā po o li. Langa e re wha pia fo na o tinala e sawa ina I tonu a inga. O la fo ia pius mai kama. Ora kala mo ia. So, my guest today on our program and on our show is Dwaine Faletanoaí, a team manager for Takanga a Fohe, a Pacific mental health service under the Waitemata District Health Board. Tato marona I laso nei mana ia I o to mai I o le atufa mai fo'i e Dwaine Faletanoaí. E tu sai fo'i mana la toa unanga pe fa fea ona la to fe so ne atu I tamama li Pasefika maoli ia maso se tasi lava se ko sa kasa ska pesenga le sa lo DJ sa ula se pesenga foi ngale se lue la ko ingmalo makua war kai mingai la foi wai lumor ki vi wai ko makaka longa le NRL ka fiku ale sko ingalo fai mai se ki pancake ole pius ka ko meni ana oe na ia kuka fai le tina Fai masina pancake fo ingale langa. It's gonna be a very long night. Anyways, olesia tato update on health. Ai le tu inatu ia le tato whataranoanga. Ma na ia I le update na o mai ele fo ile total health care. Mo tato malava. Mai se lava ia whana witi. There is a free routine vaccinations for children are important to keep children ia tato waluma whana ulaiti. Whanau and the community immunized against diseases po whaamai like measles, mumps and rubella. Maenga leo whainga o tui pui ia o le misela, ia ma le rubella, maisi whaamai wa pena, ia vave a fia ia alo ma whanau, a misela wa I pepe. O le whaamanatu, o tu ina mai la matanga luenga le soifua malolo ina. E maua lano la wat pasene, very low admission or percentage o alo ma whanau fu el Pasefika. O loo awina tui fo ma ia whaia lato tui pui. E a watu whawhautuanga le tātou Port Kalame la whiawhire nei, Pacific Health Talanoa. Watu whawhautuanga ia te outou matua. Tautua nā le whaingo tui pui ia moa outou walo ma whanau. Wa alu fo ina le a tupu maini pe whea ia pe o tui fo ia. E a fo I. E pui mai ai ele tamaititi mai le maua I le vave maua le fulu. Ia vave maua I sima I foinga e masana I tamaiti vave mai ia malifale. Makua healthy lo matua up to date lo makua ia immunization. But that's advice for you. Ala tato musika lea. Ia ele mafutsa mai ia le tato malo falorongia le sunga ia Dwaine Faletanoaí. Shout out to everybody that are tuning in and listening in. Thank you so much for accepting yes au nanga fatau fa ale Pacific Health Talanoa I le nia fiafi. Let's go! Or the this song takes you back to RSA back home. Yeah, or oiler.
Try to listen to one dub song. I try and I know there's something's wrong. Every time the DJ decides to play, oh, it's go up in the air. Everybody chanting, doing the boogie, oh, what an atmosphere. But all I hear, hey, yo. Baka 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 baka. I hear baka 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 baka. Chanting, singing, baka baka. Even when I move a little closer, baka baka. Put my head up closer to the speaker, baka baka. Turn up the radio louder, baka baka. Everybody come and join the party. Shake your body, body, shake your body, body, move your body, body, move your body, body. Molele mangaba ile fia ai go so se me ai ka ko e si ang wenti be ka ko e ai KFC kale mai pinga ki be ka ko pe ile metis ele la Shake your body, body, shake your body, body, move your body, body, move your body, body, shake your body, body, shake your body, body, move your body, body, move your body, body.
The Pasefika communities living in Aotearoa, New Zealand, come from many different cultures and speak a range of languages. While that makes our lives richer, it can be tricky when it comes to talking about difficult things like mental health. For many of our Pasefika communities, there are strong feelings of shame and guilt around mental health problems. Now, these feelings can make it hard to open up to our families, our ainga, our whānau, elders, or friends. If you can't talk to anyone about what you are going through, it's easy to stay away or hide your feelings from those who love you. But if you find someone to talk to, things will start to get better. And joining me on Pacific Health Talanoa today is Dwaine Faletanoaí, who is a team manager of Takanga Fohe, Pacific Mental Health and Addiction Services. Takanga Fohe, meaning Unison of Oars, a Pacific Mental Health and Addiction Service in Waitemata District Health Board, supporting Counselling Pasefika and their families in their journey with alcohol, drugs, gambling, and of course, mental health. Patalo fatu Faletanoaí nei wauli.
Aloha se fua, Mr. Kaisara.
Thank you so much for coming on the show this afternoon. Now, I guess the very first question that I want to ask, and before we move into our topic, is can you tell our audience and viewers and listeners, what is mental health?
Lorenzo, mental health can be perceived as a number of things. I think there's a lot of misconceptions and there's a lot of sort of negative affiliations with the definition of mental health. But my understanding of mental health is that it's a state of well-being, and it includes physical attributes, social, psychological, that kind of state. It can vary across a continuum in terms of your overall well-being. So yeah, a difficult one, but so quite variable in many senses.
It's like looking after yourself holistically, which involves your spiritual well-being, cultural well-being, mental health well-being, psychological, and all that those sort of things. Yes. Now, I guess I am more interested in mental health amongst Pacific men. This month of June, mental health is being celebrated globally. Now, what is the current state of mental health amongst Pacific men in Aotearoa from Takanga Fohe's perspectives?
From our perspective, I mean, it's certainly an issue, an ongoing issue. We have, quite a high prevalence of Pacific men presenting with mental health concerns. Certainly a lot more than our female counterparts, but look, I think the state of it is, while it's a growing concern, there's still a lot of stigmatisms attached to mental health for Pacific, particularly Pacific men. As you know well, Pacific men we're the leaders of our families. We're community. We have a great presence in the churches and the community. So when there's mental health there's definitely quite strong disassociations with mental health in general. So that stigmatism is still prevalent. I think there's elements of shame in Pacific circles around mental health. And then just a bit further, the state of it from our perspective as a service is that while the need is great for intervention in mental health for Pacific men, communities, the workforce or is few. The workforce is stretched. It's not enough to meet the need. That's the state we're in.
What is the response from our Pacific men seeking support for mental health problems from your perspective, Dwaine?
Varied response. I mean, a lot of Pacific men, because there's so much stigma, there's a lot of shame. There can be a detachment from services. Perhaps there's been times in the past where our Pacific men have had negative experiences with health services in general. There might be a lot of misunderstanding around some of the terminologies, understanding of an illness or a diagnosis. But certainly for us, I mean, we've had some great positive engagements because there is cultural models we follow. The Pacific language has been a huge breakthrough, for engaging our Pacific men with a topic that's quite taboo in many senses.
That's right.
And then just furthermore, the use of sort of spiritual, cultural ways of engagement has been enough to sort of break the ice and cut through some of those barriers.
Yeah. So from a mainstream service perspective, you being part of the District Health Board, do you think there's more that can be done to support our Pacific men with mental health?
Absolutely. I mean, it is an all-in approach. I think there definitely needs to be a more unity with the communities, to sort of share the families, just to not only generate sort of a united understanding on mental health issues, but our response to it. So, I mean, it does take a community approach. I mean, we know we can't just stop short at medical, prescribing medicines or sending them somewhere like a psychologist for some therapy. It takes a whole family got to be on board, community, churches. It definitely takes a unified approach to sort of break through and generate some lasting change.
Now, you mentioned that there's specific models that you use to deliver the service, for Takanga, Fohe, out to our community. Do we have enough people in the mental health sector, providing and taking that support out to our community?
Well, in my honest opinion, I think we're short. I don't think we have enough. I mean, Pacific services have been under-resourced for years, but on the flip side, especially here in Okilani, our Pacific population is growing so fast, and it's projected to grow at rapid rates. So, the workforce just isn't quite matching. That's beyond me. I mean, that's another debate that's for the government to consider. Where the funding goes and how it gets streamed. But I'm hoping that there is some change on the horizon, and we can support and build a workforce that's going to be able to meet a massive need in the next few years, 5-10 years.
Wow, I love that honest statement from you, and hearing it from Pacific managers like yourself. We're going to start making some noise. We've been making these noises like over the last how many years, and yet we are still understaffed. We don't have enough Pacific staff in the mental health sector, let alone the health sector. But anyways, so the type of ngalwenga or the mahi that you are involved in, can you tell us a little bit about what exactly your team of addictions, drugs and alcohol advisors or clinicians do for our community?
Absolutely, Lorenzo. So we've got a multidisciplinary team. We have doctors, senior consultants, psychiatrists, psychologists, occupational therapists, social workers, counselors. So that's what it means to have a multidisciplinary team all under one banner of Pacific Mental Health and Addictions. Now, we do sit in the Waitemata region, which covers the North Shore and West Auckland. However, we've got an addictions team attached to us, which is a regional one, so Auckland-wide. So basically, we do a lot of work in mental health and addictions at the treatment end. So we're a secondary health service. We get a lot of referrals from the community, families, GP, corrections if need be, and we'll go in and deal with the highest of acute or the most risky of mental health or addictions clients or service users, and support them in culturally relevant ways to get better and achieve not only harm minimization but overall a better state of well-being.
Awesome. It's great to hear So great to hear that your service, Takanga, for especially the Pacific arm of the mental health service under Waitemata District Health Board, is well connected with our community. And I've seen the work that you guys do. You guys are out at community events. You guys are engaging with our Pasefika churches, with our schools. Amazing. Now, why would someone Pacific want to work in a job like you do?
Great question. I mean, I'm hoping that many would want to do this kind of work. It's certainly rewarding. I think as Pacific people, we love to serve. There's that value of servitude, humility, and servitude that lends itself well to the kind of work that we do, because it's not a flashy kind of area of expertise with all the bells and whistles that you can promote. But it certainly has its reward in the sense that you're making heart change or contributing to some heart changes in people, helping our disadvantaged, cross the line and have a place of belonging in their families or the communities. And that's, you can't replace that. So to be a part of change is worth everything, especially for our Pacific. And it's giving back. I mean, one quick example is one common for all of us, how our parents sort of sacrificed everything for a better life for us. So, this is us giving that in return. I mean, we can sacrifice the more glamorous of careers for one, in favor of one in mental health and addictions, but in order to make a better life for those that we love and care about. So, yeah, please, if there's any inkling of interest, please join us. We need you and we want you.
There you go. Especially all our young Pacific youth, our young Pacific, if you are looking into pursuing a career in the health sector, I strongly encourage you to have a look into mental health, because there's a lot of opportunity there. And Dwaine Faletanoaí at Takanga Fohe will be looking after you. Dwaine, I guess I'm interested to know, what is the most common difficult mental health problem that our Pacific men face? Is it violence from their wives, or is it drugs and alcohol? Or is it gambling?
The Warriors or the All Blacks are playing. Yeah. I mean, violence is certainly common, especially unfortunately, it is a very repetitive occurrence that we hear. It's all types of violence, alcohol abuse, drug abuse. But on the mental health side of things, we have a lot of anxiety, depression. There's things like suicidal ideation. And then your other things like bipolar, so psychoaffective disorders. I mean, all of them are quite common. Lorenzo, it's sad, but there certainly is a wide prevalence. Maybe one thing I'll just say quickly is that for Pacific men, I think it would be different from other ethnic groups, is that this sort of spiritual delusions. That's quite common. So sort of misunderstandings around spirituality and a crossing over a reality of what we learned about the Bible or Christian teachings, or what we grew up with, to perhaps some sort of fixed false beliefs. Present day, some of it's got a bit crossed and haywire. That's certainly common for Pacific, unfortunately.
Wow. It's amazing, Faletanoaí, to hear that there's a spiritual aspect of how you, added to the model that you use, because surely it can bring some sort of treatment or healing to any mental health problems that we have. Faletanoaí, may you please advise how people can get in touch with your service before we conclude our interview?
Absolutely. Please, any GP should know of us, because we're one of we have a GP to GP referral system set up. But if you're at home thinking about how to get in touch with us, we are available on the internet. So on the Google, if you want to Google Takanga Fohe or Isa Lei, Tupu, you'll find us all. Any words you can remember there. Tupu will probably be the easiest one. TUPU. Or else you can find us on a phone of 822-8777. 822-8777.
Nice. Isalei or tupu, those are the two magic words that you need to take away with you after this interview. Isalei or tupu or Takanga a Fohe. Or if you want to get in touch with me to get more information or contact details for Takanga a Fohe, feel free to message me on Pacific Health Talanoa with Lorenzo. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and I hope to have you back on this very show in the future.
Lorenzo.
Yeah.
Tangata, oyo usili, sili lava, naturally mau osa telen mea, on the being and a menino I love along the valea. Telling you what that to moa ia faila ia manaya. For you to put that to the tower with Ali, feel fama only.
Whafongo le tātou watunu le tātou whataranoanga ma le tātou mālo whaalolongia I le nei au uli lunga le tātou Port Kalame le Pacific Health Talanoa. Ma nei ai o le whautuanga na tuina mai Fohe le sunga ia Faletanoaí. O le sunga ia Faletanoaí o ia lea lo o vaaia ia le team. He's a team manager I lalo le au nanga whale soifua maloloina I taua o le Takanga a Fohe. O le au nangana lea e whapitoa lava mo tangata Pasefika lo o saili mamana o mia se fisosoani tau I le soifua maloloina o le mawhauwhau. Ia I vaenga fo ia na tā ua e Faletanoaí o le depression, ia o le vaenga lea o le stress, o le anxiety, ia ma le vaenga lea o lea fo I o gambling and drugs and alcohol addictions. So se vaenga le mental health. E te maua le fisosoani I le o unanga le Takanga a Fohe. Aua e te mā. O le mā. E te le maua I le manuia ma le fisosoani e te tauona e maua. O le o unanga Fohe ia. Is between you and them. E confidential ia information ia mā o tau whataranoanga. E in trouble aila ia Takanga a Fohe. Ai e watu fo ingale e te saili fisosoani uma nge wai loa uma lalangi lo whawhitau di then that can get them into trouble. Ai ole me ma nei au nanga ia malo e confidential. E le aise whamatalanga I sau I whafo fo ingale e te le saulo I whafo a vele halulunga le Facebook, halulunga le Messenger, vai sky di mai ngai au ke whakore kele I o whawhikau vai me ngai jeans ma jacket ka unga ka ma ke mendu au ke vai koe la fufusu ma le koe ka kalanga wa ko kalanga. Anyways, sa ili fesosoani e te mauai I re soifua maloloina I le mawhauwhau e le ngata I lea o lau tino. Mone si whamtalanga o lea la tuatulunga I le tātou Facebook page lea le Takanga a Fohe. O tau sila mai, love, like and share I le tātou Facebook page le na Takanga a Fohe o lo o maua umai ia le upenga ta whailangi o le emaili o le numera e te whesota I tai ma isi lava mau whamatalanga e winga I le tātou au nanga le nā. Ia o lewa se ma le taimi, so se fulu tasi minute o na tale o le tūla e wha ai manatu o na o lea so o ai ma le Blue Table. Ia anai tō whawhine po tau sala le tātou Blue TV, ia pia ma Gloria o le a wha motai fo I ma le o nanga a le Pacific Health Talanoa ma Lorenzo, tal tonu, ia sa maua ia sina mea o ngā I le tātou interview ma Dwaine Faletanoaí. Ia manuia tele lava ia le alo atu le tātou watunou, I le whai unga o le whai aso I tele o fuafuanga o whianga iei, a inga I kalesia, whala potpotonga, ai maisi ai le tapua inga o le tātou manu sa moa lea o le alo whaiva. I lana ta longa I le aso tae au, behind closed doors. E makau kia, ora kai me mua mua ngai ala ta alo manu sa moa. Kam foi ngale le, solo sikalam. Ki kilo mai lunga. Anyways, you can watch the game on Sky Sport. Manu tele man Samoa malau fafonga malau silsila mai nei yafi faaftai tele la faaftai le mai moa male taliaina foi o se au nanga fatau va ale Blue TV ia male Pacific Health Talanoa ile nei a oli fa manuia le tua ia fo fuanga lo toi don't drink and drive ia o malu lu foi no le au tafo mami inu sai koko po sai kofi o kas pankeke foinga le kam foinga le upait wan fainga upait sagu ia eveling yo lawa so even minuta tale July fa don't go away because Blue Table is going to take you back to the world of information. So for a year, Samoa Manuia La Fiafi. Spadonito, fantastico. Oh, here's my right side. Yeah, it's can move it. Bye-bye, yeah. Bye-bye. I know how to TikTok too. Yeah. You gotta, what do you call it? Roll your ankle board wrist. You gotta roll your wrist.